Yeah. Speaks volumes about the sport. Yeah. Great to be with the advocates of Kabaddi in the country, I would say. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me start with Anupam sir. First of all, congratulations. We've had a fantastic, Vivo Pro Kabaddi season 6, and the league has just gotten bigger and better over the years. And the completion over the years, over the season that we've seen, one can say, Mashal, along with Star and the Federation, has been at the helm of the transformation of the sport, Kabaddi. What are expectations in season 7?
Definitely look forward. I thought my voice was correct. But one great thing for season 7 is we are back to a July opening. And just to reiterate, it was the key reason which made the league stand out compared to others. We will be starting 19 July. We'll be doing so in July again in 2020. That's one. Season 6. The really strong point of season, the hallmark of season 6 was the strong performance of the new generation of Kabaddi stars. We expect even more of it season 7. Another key point was the gameplay, match play, all became better for competitive quality. Between season 6 and season 5, there was about a 15% increase in overall points scored for the same number of matches. So we expect that trend to continue from 7,608 points cumulative to 8,769 points over the same number of matches. So we expect that trend to continue. And the game is evolving so fast. I mean, if you see the number of points being scored by defenders, tackles are going up. That's shown a 21% increase. It shows that at Pro Kabaddi, Kabaddi itself is transforming itself into is transforming and augmenting all its virtues of a strong physical contact sport. And we look forward to it in season 7.
As you rightly said about season 6, that we had some great, new young players who, during the season, at the start, they were absolutely new names, and midway they became stars. They're now superstars and a name to reckon with. As I earlier said, like players like Nitesh Kumar for UP Yota. Then we have our very own, Maharashtrian boy from Mumbai, Siddharth Desai. These are young players who become stars overnight. And tell us, what do you think about their performance, these new players, and the role that the league plays in scouting this talent?
So the league started its new young player program in just for season 5. At that stage, we were addressing the need to find new players for the increased number of teams. We had expanded by 4 new teams. I think that program has worked. It has transformed Kabaddi for the simple sense that it has given the new generation of Kabaddi heroes. We are ongoing with that program. I think nearly all the franchises are also developing their scout and search programs. Overall, Kabaddi Pro Kabaddi has already discovered the new generation or the Gen Next of Kabaddi players, and it is indeed would be one of the strongest elements of the league.
Absolutely, the next superstars of Vivo Pro Kabaddi. Rajeshji, sometime back we were discussing, there's so many sports in India. We are a sports-loving nation. In the midst of so many sports, Vivo Pro Kabaddi has managed to make its own niche, create its own niche, and reach the pedestal.
Thanks. I think that Kabaddi is really the game of the masses. Clearly, no one can, or it would be very difficult for any sport to replace cricket, and no one's thinking that one should, because it's such an important game as part of our lives. But a huge mass of people in India, Kabaddi is their first game. And what the sports broadcaster, what the league, what the federation, and what all of us as team owners have achieved in this short period, Sachin, is that this has made the connect. And I'm really glad that there are so many representatives of the press, because you're going to help us make this bridge even stronger that where and how a sport which is so vigorous, requiring so many skills, is going to get through to more and more people and popularize all these young players, as you see. Just to a point, as an aside, Mr. Goswami, perhaps you know that the most of the political leaders, and I mean the topmost of the BJP, for sure, because I know this, started their life playing Kabaddi for their parent organization, and they did well in Kabaddi, and then they did well in politics. So I think that's something to note, that playing Kabaddi is very much a sport that gets you ahead in life as well.
Career bana diya, bade bado.
No, they've reached the highest level that you could possibly reach.
Absolutely. Abhishek, young players are talked about. They're the ones who are actually turning the face of the game, turn the tables. Last season, we saw. And this season, you retained Deepak Niwas, Sandeep Gill, and two new young players. Now, what impact has a young players made to the team where they showed the maturity along with the experienced players?
Well, I think if you look at any organized sporting league, an emphasis has always been put on young talent, new young talent, because that is the future. Even if you look at, say, the IPL in cricket, at any given point of time before a cricket tournament, a domestic cricket tournament like the IPL came about, on a national level, you only heard of 11, possibly 15 players that represented India. Today, you hear of so many more names that are capable of representing India. I think the same is happening in Kabaddi. In Kabaddi, you had a squad size of 12, as we did in season 1, which is what goes to play international tournaments. And maximum, we would have known of 15 international class players that have represented India in Kabaddi. With the subsequent seasons of Pro Kabaddi, I think you started hearing of many more names. And today, I don't think I'd be far off the mark if I said there are easily 30 to 40 players that are eligible to play for the country. That's happening because the youth has been giving a chance. That's happening because, like we said, are concentrating more on playing the sport because they see that this is a great way to make an income as well. And they see that they're getting an opportunity to perform on a world platform such as Pro Kabaddi League, and they're getting the opportunity to play with the best and be coached by the best. So this is, I think, a very organic growth for any sport. And I'm so happy to see that in Kabaddi it's actually happening a lot faster than in any other sport that I follow. If you see last season, the youngsters made a huge impact. I think the same will happen this season. But Kabaddi is a very unpredictable sport. And it's a sport, and I think one of the reasons why it's so exciting to see, apart from the fact that it's fast, it's rigorous, but it's also a sport that if you miss a minute, the entire game can change. We as Indians who are passionate about, say, cricket, saying, okay, I don't mind missing the first innings, I'll catch the second innings. Do over miss hoge, no problem. There'll be 5 ad breaks as it is. In Kabaddi, I think the problem is it keeps you glued because if you miss a minute, the entire game can change. Keeping that in mind, it's very easy to make mistakes. It's such a fast sport that your decision making has to really be top notch. That can be attributed to experience. So a lot of teams go for experience and stability. But there are times where that experience can falter. So at that point in time, you want to compensate it with energy and youth. So it's a very unpredictable game. I don't think if you ask any of the franchising teams, any of the managers, any of the coaches, they'll have an answer that should we go experience or should we go youth? It can go either which way. Keep a balanced squad. That's worked for some, that's not worked for some. Have a great auction and half your battle is won. If I may be a bit self-effacing, I thought I had a great auction last year. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out because what happens on the mat is completely different. What's another wonderful thing is not just the youth, but we see certain players that have been around in the PKL who are suddenly shining. And I think Rajesh Uncle did it perfectly with Pardeep Narwal, who was with Bengaluru Bulls, came into Patna and just erupted, and is possibly the most exciting player in the world of Kabaddi today, and is greatly responsible for having Patna Pirates over there 3 times, which is not nice to look at as a Jaipur Pink Panther owner, but I'm the first one, so yeah.
Inaugural champion,
Yeah. And if you see last season, you had Pawan Sherawat who burst onto the scene. He's been around for 4 seasons. You know, he wasn't getting a chance to play. So it teaches a lot of team managers to think that if you give a player with potential the opportunity, he can shock you. Siddharth Desai burst onto the scene. I mean, my prediction is probably going to be the most expensive player today. But he's not a new young player. He's been playing Kabaddi for some time. So it's also about giving people an opportunity, which makes our job a lot more difficult. Because you have the tried and tested and proven candidates who are there. You want to give them an opportunity, but you always have that sense of what if. Here's this kid who's got potential. What if you give him a chance? He could become the next Siddharth, the next Pawan, the next Pardeep. So it's a very unpredictable game. So today, I think most of the franchises have kind of learned from their experience over the past 5 years on auction strategy. So I'm very interested to see which way they're all going to be thinking, how they've decided to pick their teams, because it's going to be very exciting. Because one thing everybody's realized is if you're just going to have focus on one particular aspect, let's just go for Raiders today. Raiders get you multiple points. Defenders will get you 1, maximum 2 points. Or let's go defense, because there's the very famous saying in sport that, goals win you matches, defense wins you championships. Same in Kabaddi, defense wins you championships. But then 2 years ago, you had, as per me, possibly the greatest defending unit in Gujarat Fortune Giants in their inaugural season. They reached the finals, they couldn't win.
Yeah.
So, there are too many permutations and combinations. It's going to be very exciting. I'm sure everybody's very prepared. And like I jokingly tell them before every season, it's right here, just take it, save us a lot of money. Patna Pirates, always one of the most favorite teams. So let's see, it's going to be very exciting. But what I'd like to say is last year when we had the auction, we started making a lot of predictions based on the kind of teams we put on. I think the one thing that everybody learned is it doesn't matter what kind of team you have on paper, it's what that team does on the mat that's going to matter.
Absolutely. We look forward to Jaipur Pink Panthers team this season. And as you know, we've been highlighting on the trophy that we've seen the name Patna Pirates thrice there. Last season, Patna Pirates had a little tough time. You retained Pardeep Narwal. So this season, at season 7, do we see a slew of new young players who are going to be supporting? Pardeep needs his support.
No, thanks. And thank you, Abhishek. So strategies, we all have strategies. But and it's good to have strategies, particularly as owners. But I think these are all clouds in the sky. I must share that to you in a way, because finally what happens in an auction is unpredictable. Then you have a squad, you're very proud of your squad, you spend a lot of time and effort to train them, and they go on the mat. But why do you think viewers like Kabaddi? Why does the spectator love to watch Kabaddi? It is, as Abhishek said just now, the total unpredictability of the sport, the speed of the sport. As it happens, anything can change. So finally, it's the players on the mat, how they do, what happens, that makes the game. And I think, yes, I may be disappointed about Patna Pirates in the last season, and I'm going to work very hard, or rather they will work very hard also to ensure that they do really well, but it happens.
Absolutely. And, as you said, that it's an unpredictable sport, incredible sport. And when I joined, became a part of Vivo Pro Kabaddi, Anupam sir and the team had told me that this is a sport which has high point every 30 seconds. So you can't get your eyes off the mat at all. And it's also one of the coolest sport that India has. It is Vivo Pro Kabaddi. And Abhishek, you spoke some time back about raiders and defenders. But generally the trend is raiders are the most sought after at the auctions. Yeah, but defenders last season were incredible, as you mentioned. So what is going to be your pick? What is going to balance be? Raider heavy, defender heavy?
I'm not saying. But I think in any sport, an emphasis is always on the scorer. If it's in football, a striker will always get more money than a defender. You'll have the anomaly of one or two exceptional talents. Um, I think what was nice to see last season when I think our highest defender was Fazal, who went for a crore. Um, he was in the same league as some of the biggest raiders. So I think that kind of goes to show the kind of emphasis people put on defense. Um, it's going to be difficult. I think it depends on how things pan out within the first two cachets, which is the international players. The excitement is going to start, I think, post lunch once the Indian domestic category A starts. That's always the bloodbath that happens, and it's going to be exciting because there's some immense talent in that pool. Like I said, Siddharth, who literally came out of nowhere and caught everybody's fancies, is there. Rishank is there. You have huge names just in Raiders, but you have equally big names in defenders. What makes the PKL auction exciting is the RTM card. So there's no certainty. I mean, I could bid to Kingdom Come for Siddharth, but Mumbai still has that RTM. So that's what makes it so exciting. One, that it's transparent. Everybody gets to kind of enjoy the auction process, be a part of the stress of it. And for any team bidding, especially for some of the more popular players, it's not a definite until the current owning team doesn't exercise their RTM. So that makes it very exciting. So it's going to be a very eventful day. I think the next 2 days, the one things that we realize is obviously Indian domestic category A players, defense and raiders are going to be exciting. What's going to be exciting is the category B as well. Because the one thing we've seen in the last 2-3 auctions is that sometimes the category B players get more money than the category A players as well. So it all comes down to the kind of purse you have left, the kind of strategy you have, the kind of team you want to build. My advice would be, I think the days of playing safe are gone. I think the prudent thing to say, or would have been said, I'll say it. Is have a nicely balanced team. I'm saying you have to go out on a limb and either have an attacking team or a very defensive team. A balanced team is not going to cut it for you anymore. You have to have those impact players that are either going to change the game defensively or change it attackingly. And like I said, there's no point telling you. I have no problem telling my strategy, because at the end of the day, my strategy could be nothing once the auction starts, because that's how unpredictable it is. And it's good fun. And just one more point I wanted to add, Visions, is what I also think is really cool, which is I'm telling him because we're always complaining to him and we bring all our complaints and our grievances. But I think what's also very exciting is the amount of discussion that can happen around Kabaddi, because we have to also understand there is a margin of error in every sport. There's a larger margin for human error. Even if you see the ongoing IPL, there's been a lot of discussion on certain umpiring decisions. It's even tougher in Kabaddi because, we tend to forget, in other sports, umpires have various other tools. In Kabaddi, it's literally happening a foot away from your nose.
Yeah.
To be that aware, to be that fast to spot something that might have gone wrong, and then you have the referral. But we also forget that the referral is being done by a referee with the footage that is available to him or her. And they only have 30 seconds to make a decision, because at the end of the day, the show has to go on. So I think that's actually exciting, because there is that conversation. In such a fast sport, you're going to have those discrepancies. You're going to have difference of interpretation. And I think that makes it really exciting. I mean, we enjoy calling upon the league and saying, sir, this decision went against us, and then sitting down with the committees. But that's what makes it exciting. And I think that's what's, there's still a humaneness about the sport. It's not become sanitized, and it's not just perfect. Like in tennis, you'll have that one graphic ball that'll come. It's all very sanitized. I think over here, there is a bit of room for interpretation, and that makes it more exciting for me.
You actually got the mat alive here, I must say.
Yeah.
We actually went there.
Absolutely.
Abhishek, talking about the options.
So
No, when I go, Most of the time I address the people answer, and otherwise I'm only humane and you.
Abhishek, I would love to get into your mind right now and understand which of the players that you actually. Do you want to throw a few names that you've been highlighting Siddharth Desai for a long time, but any of the names that
I think any team would be foolish not to go for Siddharth. For an impact raider with that physicality, the kind of fitness that he has, I know he's coming out of an injury, but he's absolutely fit. The league has provided his medical reports. He's fit. I think anybody would be foolish not to go for him because he's somebody who can change the game for you. He had an average of 10.3 or 10.4 rate points last season. That's insane.
Yeah.
And most of those points are not scored on just touches; they're escape points. That means even if this guy gets tackled, he's still taking 2-3 guys with him.
Yeah.
So he's a monster. And apart from that, he's a really nice guy. If you meet him off the mat, he's like a gentle giant.
Yeah.
I know his elder brother, Suraj Desai, was part of the Jaipur Pink Panthers in season 1. And he was part of our camp, but then he was in the services, and at that season the services did not come in play, so we had to let him go. So I know the family; they're very humble, down to earth. Their sportsmanship is impeccable. So he's the ultimate package. I think any team would be foolish not to go for him. I think Mumbai would be foolish not to retain him. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens with him. But there are other players out there. I think in the category A Raiders, each and every raider that is in that category that is available in the auction are all game changers. More importantly, they're all game winners. Everybody's going to want them. You already have one in your team, get another one because you never know. There'll be an injury. You might lose. Last year, we had one of my strike raiders, Nitin Raval, who was a new young talent. We scouted and got on, had a brilliant first season. And in the second match, he got injured last season and he couldn't play for the rest of the season. I lost one of my strike raiders. So you have to always have a contingency plan. So I definitely feel the players to watch. I mean, Siddharth is going to be a player to watch. Parvez Bhanswal is going to be a player to watch. One of the best defenders that we have. I think Abuzar has always been a hot property on auctions. So it's going to be very exciting.
Absolutely. And Siddharth, not just a gentle giant, he's also a gentle singing giant. He's a singing sensation. If you've never heard him, you should listen to him. He's a fantastic singer. He has a YouTube channel like Khudka.
Yeah, but now Kabaddi Khel is we much rather think of him as a ferocious person on the mat than...
So he's got both the sides to him. So
yeah,
as you said, he's a gentle as well as that.
Yeah, no, I said that because I think one thing that a lot of teams are going to be thinking of, and if they're not, I mean, I gladly share this experience with them. I literally travel with the team, I stay with the team, so I know them in close quarters. It's not just the talent that you have to bid for today. You have to bid for their temperament. Yeah. That makes a huge difference. If you have a player whose temperament is not conducive to the rest of the team, he's going to pull the rest of your team down. Because, like I said, it's a very engaging sport. So you need mentally, physically to be completely on board. So that's why I talked about Siddharth, because he's a great guy. He doesn't think he's a superstar. He's a team player. So you need that kind of attitude as well.
Down to earth. Yeah. Yet a fighter. Rajeshji, same question goes to you. Some names that you must have thought of.
He's got all of them already. All the names Abhishek has already mentioned. So, see, we have Pradeep Narwal. He is the best known name in Kabaddi at the moment, and as a raider, he has, if we take the 4 seasons that he has been with Patna Pirates, Pradeep's score is unequaled so far, and I hope that it kind of remains that way. So we have to build a team that is the most supportive to Pradeep, and that is the only part of our strategy. But we also know that when in an auction, we may want something, but we may not get it. So there are lots and lots of possibilities, and there are fantastic players that are there today and tomorrow. And you're going to see some very ferocious bidding by all the owners and all the teams.
Wishing you all the best for this year's parting thoughts for season 7.
Owners are here. It's ready to be looking forward to great, hugely competitive seasons.
Thank you so much. And the friends from the media, the floor is now open for Q&A. Please identify yourself, the publication or channel that you belong to, and
Because offhand, can you say that season 6, how much money has gone to Kabaddi players? Offhand, any whatever figure you're looking.
So it's it's 4.4 crore players. And so the money to one amount is somewhere in the region of 46 crores. 46 total. Okay. So should I see they want to say 50 Islam?
No.
The
There's a
player
player
person
purse. Each team has a player purse. There's a salary cap. We only get X amount of money to spend in the auction. We can't spend more than that. So we have to put our teams together within that purse. That's why it's exciting as well.
and it's pretty much the entire. I mean, the player person will be used almost entirely.
What is the cap? What is the price?
4.4 crores. 4 crores 40 lakh.
30.
30.
30. What are the dates of the doing?
May I request you please use the mic so that it's audible to the.
So it starts 19th July, and we are still. It will go up to about 9th of October.
Last time there was some criticism. That
Gee.
because of the length of the league, people lost interest in it. Now we got this
So the length of in any if you
compared
look,
to the previous years.
if you look at any great sports league around the world,
I'm
there
talking
are-
about Kabaddi.
so let's say if you any great sports league in the world has some tenure, and we are when we went into season 5, the season 5 had a remarkable gain in consumption of viewership, and it was the same as the season 6. Season 6, yes, there has been a dip, and we will look at factors which have contributed to it. Perhaps as much as the length, it may have been a shift in the window of the league from July, because we had to accommodate the Asian Games. We started in October, and that is a festive season. There is other sport around it. There is a lot of and if you're talking about television, there's a lot of television programming and entertainment also which comes around that time. This time, coming back to our window in July should definitely help the league a lot.
Hi, Abhishek. Yeah. As you rightly pointed out, that Kabaddi is a very fast-paced game. Do you think that is it the same task of being a owner of a franchise to balance out all these things during the competition?
Absolutely, you have to take that into account. Decision making under duress is something that we at Jaipur Pink Panthers look at. Duress in this case could be if your defense is down to 2 or 3 people. How are you as a defender in super tackles? How many points have you scored when your team has been in the deficit? Are you able to up your scoring at that point of time? To give you an example, for the captain of my team, Deepak Nivasunda, who we retained, he's an all-rounder, but Deepak's scoring actually increased as the season went along, but the team wasn't doing as well. Deepak scored 7 to 8 Super 10s in matches which were decreasing in their importance to Jaipur qualifying for the playoffs. Even when we were out of the playoffs, he still continued to perform. That shows me spirit. So these are things I'm going to take into account. And that was one of the main reasons, apart from his leadership qualities, why I retained him, is that you're leading by example. You're able to perform under stress. So these are things we look at as well. Other teams might have a difference of opinion. If you take Pradeep as well, I mean, just an all-round star. At the end of the day, he's going to perform no matter what. It's very easy in sport to get disheartened. It's very easy in any sport if you're losing by a large margin to just throw in the towel and say, okay, this one's done and dusted, let's concentrate on the next one. We're looking at players who are not going to give up easily, who are going to say, no, let's fight because there is a chance to turn it around. So there are a lot of these factors that come into decision making in the auction. So that's something we as Jaipur Pink Panthers are definitely going to be looking at, is what's your character like? How have you performed? What is your temperament? Like I said before, what are your statistics under certain circumstances that we've also analyzed?
Mike, the second last row, please. Thank you.
Hello, Abhishek. My question is, how much you are going to miss Anup Kumar in this season?
Not just me, I think Kabaddi is going to miss Anup Kumar. It's wonderful to have him back in the league as a coach. He's one of the greatest ever Kabaddi players to have represented this country. And the respect for a player of Anup's stature or Rakesh Ji's stature is never going to diminish. What they've done for this sport, very few people are going to manage to do in this sport. You're talking about possibly one of the top 3 greatest Kabaddi players of all time. And we're going to miss him on the mat. It's going to be wonderful to see him coaching and see his brains, being used. So in that sense, we'll see him. He's a great guy. But I think the world of Kabaddi will miss seeing a sportsman perform like Anup Kumar.
सर आपने कोशिश की थी जयपुर के लिए इनको कोच
जी नहीं.
Right, that's all the time we have for the Q&A. Thank you so much to the friends from the media. Thank you to the dignitaries. Thank you so much, Anupam sir.
Thank you.
Abhishek ji. Thank you, Rajesh ji. Thank you so much. Request you for a photo of to capture the perfect moment.